So, if you're like most people that are considering selling their home, you're probably wondering what you should invest your time and money in and what things you don't need to spend money on in order to get your home sale ready. This can lead to a lot of indecision. So, today I'm going to tell you the top 10 things not to do before you sell your home. Let's get started. I'm Angela Evans with Cincinnati, Ohio Living. If you're new to the channel and are interested in all things real estate, then go ahead and hit subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. That way you stay up to date on living in Cincinnati. So the question is, how do you know what things to spend your money on and what things you should just leave as is? Number one, don't replace the flooring. A good thorough clean could be all your floor needs. Maybe you have hardwood under that really worn out carpet. I had a house like this last year that the carpet needed to be replaced because the previous owner had a cat and it was just old and worn, and they tore up the carpet and underneath was gorgeous hardwood floors. All they had to do was clean them and it looked 10 times better. Now, if your floors are in really bad shape and there are large stains or really strong odors from maybe a pet, then it might be worth it to replace that flooring. If you're concerned about maybe not having enough cash on hand to do that before you sell your house, there are companies out there that can do that work for you, and then you pay once you sell your house. It's best to check with your local real estate agent to see who they would recommend using, and remember to choose flooring that you would normally see throughout the neighborhood. So if most houses in your neighborhood have maybe carpet in the bedrooms or luxury vinyl plank in the kitchen and living areas, then it probably doesn't make sense to do a really high-end marble flooring throughout the house. You're definitely not going to get your return on investment for that. A good rule of thumb is to look at the median home values in your area, and if your home is below that median home value, then you don't want to do anything over the top or high-end. Use a builder grade carpet, a luxury vinyl plank flooring. Nothing super cheap, but also you don't need to have high-end, really nice custom hardwood floors or marble flooring. And make sure that you're choosing neutral tones. Don't necessarily just go off of, oh, this is the floor that everyone's buying, because that might not be actually the best choice. And one thing to keep in mind is that if you have the same flooring throughout the home, that makes the home feel bigger, and it just doesn't have like a break at every single room if there's different flooring in each room. So that's something to consider, because sometimes having too many different styles of flooring can actually turn off the buyer, because they right away start thinking about how much is it going to cost to replace some of this flooring or all of this flooring. So if you're kind of on the fence and trying to decide, should I do this one flooring throughout my whole first floor, or should I, do the kitchen one thing, the bathroom one thing, the living room one thing, and the family room one thing? The answer is probably it's best to do all one flooring throughout the whole first floor. It really just provides great flow to the house and helps it feel bigger. Number two, don't replace the roof. Unless there are any active leaks or major issues that you know of currently, or maybe you've had a roofer out and they said, hey, this needs to be replaced. There's no leaks right now, but you have maybe a year left on this roof. Then that might be something you want to consider. Again, you have to consider doing a neutral tone for your roof, because I have seen houses where maybe they put on like a blue or a green roof, and that can really completely change the look of the house, and a potential buyer might not like that. So one thing that you can do if you know the roof needs to be replaced is that you can offer a buyer credit at closing, and that can just be part of the negotiations for the sale of the house. A lot of times buyers might not have that much cash to do a roof right after closing. Let's say you're going to offer a $15,000 credit at closing for a new roof. Then the buyers might say, oh, okay, well, that's great. There's a quote for $15,000 or $20,000 from a reputable roofing company. The seller's going to give us a credit of $15,000 at closing. Now we only have to bring $5,000 out of pocket to get the roof done. That can make things more attractive if you know you have an older roof on your home without you having to replace it before you move. Number three, don't overdo it on custom luxury things. Now, if it's something that you really want and love and enjoy, then that's great. You can do that. Just know that you're not going to get your return on investment. For example, like a home theater, or even a large aquarium, or an indoor basketball court, or an over-the-top custom bar in the basement. Those might be things that are great and really work well for your lifestyle, but just know that even if you spent $150,000 on doing that, that doesn't mean that you're going to sell your house for $150,000 more. You're probably going to get a small portion of your money back, but it is not going to be a good return on investment. So again, if it's something that you want for your house and it works for your lifestyle and you don't care if you get a return on it, then great, you can do it. Just know that sometimes buyers are going to come into your house and right away think, how much is this going to cost me to remove this thing? All right, now the next two are kind of in the same vein of don't do over-the-top custom luxury things. So number 4 is don't put in a pool. Now, of course, if you want a pool and you're going to enjoy it for a few years before you plan to move, then go ahead and do a pool. The cost of putting in a new pool today is so expensive that you're not going to get your full return on investment if you sell in the next few years. Number 5, don't finish your basement. Now, as all of these have been so far, of course, if that's something you want and need for your lifestyle in your house right now, then go ahead and finish your basement. It can really be a great upgrade, add to your living space, especially if you have kids or you want to entertain a lot. It might be a great thing that works for you and your lifestyle. But if you're thinking about moving in the next year or two and you're wondering, should I spend the money on finishing the basement? My answer would be no. And here's why. A lot of times in a basement, I notice people do specific things based on their own lifestyle. Like maybe they'll add a bedroom and a bathroom down there. Maybe it'll be a whole open family room play space. Maybe it'll be, an office and a theater and a workout room. But the problem is you don't know what the next person is going to want there. And if you over customize it, then that's actually going to probably deter some buyers from wanting your house. It's better to just have a clean blank slate in the basement and potential buyers can do whatever they want to do with that basement. Number 6. Don't do a full kitchen or bathroom remodel. You're not going to get your money back. The question you should ask yourself is, can you do some minor cosmetic updates to it, give it a facelift to make it more appealing visually to potential buyers? And the answer most of the time is going to be yes, you can. Painting the cabinets, updating your plumbing fixtures, updating the cabinet hardware, and making sure your kitchen is super clean and smells clean are really easy ways to make your bathroom and kitchens more appealing to potential buyers. A lot of times in our area, the bathrooms, if they are old, they might have tile that's in really, really great shape, but it's baby blue and yellow or pink and teal. And a lot of buyers today don't want that. But you can reglaze it. That is an option and it's way more affordable and it doesn't require a total gut of your bathroom. And a lot of times if the tile's in really good shape, that's what I'm going to recommend because it just doesn't make sense to tear out tile that doesn't have any issues. And I know that wallpaper right now is trendy and in, but I'm going to generally recommend not doing that and just giving it neutral tones throughout, because people want to be able to customize it and choose those things after they buy the house. So what you might think is a really cute wallpaper to put as an accent wall in your bathroom or kitchen, while it may be gorgeous, it's not going to appeal to everyone. And again, buyers are going to start thinking, how much is that going to cost? How much time is that going to take me to remove that wallpaper? Now, especially if you have old wallpaper, if you have really old wallpaper in the house, that is something that you want to remove, because that is something that can be a nightmare. It takes a lot of time and can be really frustrating and tedious to try to get really old wallpaper removed. Number 7, don't fix cracks in your driveway or sidewalks. Concrete is really expensive right now, and most of the time, people aren't really going to care too much about that kind of thing. Now, if your house is a few $1,000,000 and your front step is cracked, that's probably something you need to replace. But if you're selling a house that's below the median home value in your area and there's a crack on the front step, it's probably not that big of a deal. One thing to consider is that if there's some settling of part of a sidewalk or a front porch step that creates a trip hazard, this could prevent a buyer that's using an FHA loan from being able to close on your house until that gets fixed. So depending on the price of your house, If you're going to potentially be having some first-time home buyers or VA buyers, they will have a different appraisal process, and there can't be any safety hazards. And if a sidewalk is settled, 2 inches, and that creates a trip hazard, then that's something that's going to need to be fixed. That doesn't mean you need to tear out the whole sidewalk and re-concrete it. Sometimes you can just get a concrete leveling company to come in and kind of jack that slab up and fill in underneath. That is obviously a lot more affordable to do than tearing out the whole sidewalk and redoing it. Number 8, don't replace your doors. This includes your front door and your interior doors. A lot of times for the front door, those can get really expensive. We're talking like $5,000 to $10,000 if you're going to replace the whole front door. And if you have side lights or not, that's going to affect your price. So sometimes what you can do is just a simple fix is giving it a fresh coat of paint or refinishing the wood and then updating your hardware. And then for the interior doors, don't worry about going over the top here. Now, if you have all really nice custom doors throughout your house, and then you have one janky door that's just kind of not in good condition, then maybe you want to replace that one door to match the others. Most of the time, you can just give them a little facelift by taking them off, painting them, and putting new hardware on. And you'll save a lot of money that way. Number 9, don't replace the windows. Now, of course, if anything is broken, you're going to want to repair it because it's not really ideal to have a broken window when a buyer comes to look at your house. And if the windows are really old, you may want to consider offering a credit to the buyer at closing because, again, as I mentioned earlier, like for the roof, this is a big ticket item and most people are going to be using the cash that they have on hand as their down payment. So they're not always going to have a ton of cash left over to do repairs to the house. And if you have broken windows or really old windows that don't open and shut properly or just not insulated well, then that's a big ticket item. And you may want to consider offering a credit to your buyer at closing for that. And on that same note, if your windows maybe aren't ancient, but they're not the latest and greatest, the best thing that you can do is just clean them. Have a professional come and clean them inside and out. Clean the frames around them. That's just one of those simple things that, if there are like leaves and cobwebs and stuff, get that stuff cleaned out. Get the window really cleaned and looking great. And not only is it going to increase the light that's coming in, but it's just going to overall give a better presentation of your home. And on the same note, don't replace outdated window coverings. If you have some really old blinds or some old valances and curtains that are just and need to go, then you're better off just to take that stuff down, and you might have to patch some holes and do some paint touch-ups there, but you really don't need to replace those things because most buyers are going to want to choose their curtain rods and their curtains or their blinds, and that's not something that is really worth it to spend your money on. The biggest thing that buyers want to see are bright, light spaces. So if you take those old window coverings down and you give your windows a good cleaning, that's going to do wonders for you. All right, so my last tip of what not to do before selling your house is don't overdo the landscaping. Now, curb appeal and first impressions are crucial and very important. Now, that being said, you do not need to have elaborate landscaping. And sometimes that can actually be a downside because people see like, I'm going to have to take care of all this and that's going to be a lot of time to keep it this beautiful. So the best thing you can do is trim the bushes back, pull the weeds. Depending on the time of year, it might make sense to put some fresh mulch down. Of course, if you're in the middle of winter, that does not make sense, so don't do that. Sometimes you can add like some potted plants to add some color, and just know that you're not going to get dollar for dollar out of the landscaping that you put in. So let's say you add a putting green, or you put in a custom fire pit, or you have a really nice paver patio that you just added. Just because you spent $80,000 on those things doesn't mean you're going to get that same amount back for that investment. So just something to consider. If that's something that you want for you while you live there and you don't care about getting your return, then great, go ahead and do it. And on that note, also with the landscaping, It's probably a good idea if you have siding that needs a little refresh. You can, get that pressure washed and cleaned really good. That can do wonders for the exterior of a home. If your sidewalk leading up to the house is really older and dirty looking, pressure wash it. It's amazing what pressure washing can do to concrete. I never really fully understood the benefits of this until we bought our own pressure washer and cleaned our sidewalk and driveway. And I could not believe the difference in how much dirt came out of it and how different it looked. Again, that's something super easy. You can rent one if you don't have a pressure washer, or you probably know somebody that has one you can borrow. But again, those types of things are going to improve the curb appeal of your home, and you don't have to break the bank doing it. So as you probably know, the buyer's perception is everything. The best possible things you can do are decluttering and deep cleaning. If you want to know 10 things that you should do to get your house ready to sell, then make sure you check out my video where I talk about some of the easiest things that you can do, a lot of times at no cost. If you're in Cincinnati, I'd love for you to reach out with any questions that you have. You can reach me at 513-951-3584. And if you're not in Cincinnati, I have a network of realtors across the country that I work with, and I'd love to give you a referral for one of them. And I'd love to be able to help you find the right agent in your area. And even if you're not considering a move right now, but eventually you're going to be moving, and in the meantime you want to do some updates to your home, and it is always a good idea to get your local realtor in to kind of help you talk through and determine what are the best things that you can do and what things you probably want to avoid doing. Thanks for watching today.